So 2 home and away games, Suns and the Giants, before we do make those big calls in the finals. What about your first crack?
Oh, I just can't believe, it's almost unfathomable to me that the Western Bulldogs are in the position that they're in right now, scratching to make the 8. And to me, it's going to be another wasted season. Their most likely best finish will be 6, 7 or 8 at best. So what does that really mean? Given what they've got at hand, and I just had a look through before, and this is not a go at the coach. It's not. It's just. I think at the end of the year they need to do a full review of everything as a football club and say, what are we missing here? Because they've won 4 of their last 11 games. They've only beaten North Melbourne, Fremantle, Essendon and Richmond. Let's be honest, everyone's probably beating those teams at the moment. In the period we're talking about, in the last 11 games, they're the number 1 clearance team in the comp. They're second best in the comp for contested possession. So what's happening? They're starting with the ball a lot, yet their attack's ranked 7th and their defence is ranked 9th. So what's actually going on with the way they're playing? And I know they do it differently, and it's okay to do things differently. Yep. But when you do things differently, you have to win. It has to work. Otherwise, you set yourself up to fail. I look at the way that their intercept game, and only North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles have won the ball back less in that 11-week period than the Western Bulldogs. So what is that? I mean, that goes against...
Is that the main issue then that they've got?
I think there's a whole heap...
Is it system? So they rely on talent rather than system?
Well, they've got to find out. Yeah. This is why I say I think they need a full review. They've got all Australians. The English, Bontempelli and Libba will probably be all Australian this year. Bont could win the Brownlow, and again, are they maximising this guy in the back half of his career? He's a generational talent. Norton and Jamara have kicked 73 goals between them. So there's not a lack of talent forward of centre. The list, the squad, if you want to talk about the squad, they've got Liam Jones, who's going to be 33 before the start of next year. Bont's going to be 28 in November. So you're running... I know he's got a lot of years left, a few good years left, but you're running out of time with the quartet of Bont, McRae, Treloar and Libba. Yeah, I don't even know what the story is with Treloar.
No real young mids.
Who's taking over? They've had a lot of... assistance with the father-son in the academies with Darcy and ugle-hagan over the last couple of years. So I'm just concerned that this is just going to be another year they'll tick off and say, oh, well, we're unlucky here, unlucky there, and nothing really changes. I think they really need to look and get to the bottom of what's going on. I'm not saying it's the coach. I'm not saying it's the way they're playing. I'm not saying it's the list. It just seems like everything's in great order, yet they're scratching to make the 8. I cannot work it out.
Well, Luke Beveridge spoke to the media post-game, referenced a number of things, obviously their third quarter in particular, but let's have a listen to what he had to say to sum up another really disappointing day.
Those disputed ball situations, they just want a hell of a lot more than us, and that enabled them to get territory and more inside 50s than us. You know, we had a really stale part of the game after half-time where we couldn't create any momentum, couldn't get any ball movement, couldn't get the ball. And so, they won it at the coalface, and, by and large, our backs, held up pretty well throughout the course of the game, but we just couldn't create any opportunities. You come out of the game and you think, well, we could have been so much better in certain areas, and then you think also, well, Hawthorn are improving, and we knew that. We knew it was going to be a really difficult task, and obviously we fell short.
They lost Libba, as they have in some of those really tight losses. They've lost key players previously that have been defenders. But then Hawthorn lost Wingard even earlier in the game, and Luke Beveridge acknowledged that. It's just such a mystery, isn't it? I mean, they did fight back at the end, and we'll have a look at the finish. But the third quarter, I mean, Jack McRae ended up with 16 disposals, so that run of 20 plus has ended. They just could not get their hands on the footy.
It was bizarre. The whole game was bizarre. The end of the game is just ridiculous. I've never seen a ruckman take a kick out when the game's on the line, you've got a minute to go, or less than a minute to go. 47 seconds to go. And instead of Ed Richards just taking the ball out of his hands, he lets the ruckman play on from fullback and start bouncing the ball. I thought the kicking out for fullback was the easiest stat in the game, Joey. It didn't look that way for the next 15 seconds. What was he doing anyway? Just go long, get it on your boot, and then somehow, miraculously, they got an opportunity here. And Dale gets the ball and his shoulder's out. He's coming back through the corridor where all the troops are. Just go. It's like they'd never trained this. It's like this caught them by surprise. They've had a ruckman kick out and a player give a handball to a teammate who's charging to the boundary when all the numbers are in the middle getting free. Just the whole club amazes me. It amazes me. How can they not be ready for the 2-minute drill, given where they've been the last 3-4 years? They've been to grand finals.
Yeah.
This is a team that should be at the pointy end of the competition, challenging Brisbane, Collingwood, Melbourne, and being unbeatable at Marvel, being unbeatable in Melbourne. And they got no idea what they're doing when it comes crunch against a team that are just learning how to win.
And we just showed they played the close ones.
Yeah, but that might be part of the issue. Their attention to detail, the little things, the little bits of leadership, the stopping on the run of goals. I think it's all those little things are all adding up. And I think they're caught in that period where in the spot where they're good, but they're not great. But because they're good, they maybe think that they're going okay, so they don't get the real review because they don't miss finals and have a real deep dive. They might this year. They're in danger of missing the finals.
What if they miss the finals? It has to be a savage review.
Yeah.
Maybe they need that. Maybe they need that to snap something.
That's a very good call. Maybe they need to miss the finals to actually be honest with themselves. What are we wasting here?
All right, you wanted to bring up Rory Lobb?
Yeah, look, there was a couple of opportunities today, and this guy has been signed for a purpose, to be a moments man. He had 2 opportunities today to get the Dogs over the line, to get them within a whisker. And this is all last quarter. So 2 big set shots. This one just had to go through. 7 minutes to go. They were fighting tooth and nail to get an opportunity, and he let them down. When you're a big money sign-on, you've got to deliver. He hasn't delivered this year. Let's be honest, it's been a long year. He's 9 touches a week, 1 mark inside 50 and 1 goal. That's just not enough. So today was his moment, and he blew it.
All right, well, Hawthorn certainly didn't blow it. Last week, Collingwood copped it at the MCG, and they were really slow out of the blocks, lacked energy, as Sam Mitchell said, at quarter time. But one man, he had 5 touches in the first quarter, 35 for the rest of the game. He's wearing Lee Matthews' old number, and he's wearing it proudly.
He's a jet. I'm a massive rap for him. I know everyone's loving Will Day. I think this guy goes under the radar, how good he is, King. Like, his ability, and we know he's a bull and can break tackles, but I think he uses the ball better than some people give him credit for. He breaks lines and kicks the ball with some penetration and precision at times. I think he's an absolute star.
His kicking is savagely underrated. Yeah, for a player of this kicking skills to get 40 touches, it's just amazing. Most players who've got the elite skills can't get past 23, 24. This guy's had 40, 10 score involvements. He was the reason they won this game today. Absolutely no doubt about it. I love the fact that he always wants more. He's never comfortable. He's a tackle breaker, all right, because he's happy to engage in the fight, whether it's a personal one-on-one in his space or he has to work a bit to make it a personal one-on-one, he'll do it. I think you're right. You talked about him a couple of weeks ago and you think he's on the trajectory to break into the top 10 of the competition. Well, it might be even sooner than we think.
I'm not going there, but it's like Dusty. The way Dusty, when he was young, he would go looking for contact to get away, to fend off, and then when he'd get out of trouble, we know about Dustin's kicking skills. There's something similar. I'm not saying he's going to get to those heights, but something similar about the way he plays.
Are they the best 16th finishing team ever?
That's a hard question to ask.
We haven't had 18.
And here are the comparisons.
So,
no, we're not doing that?
No, we don't have time. I had a whole list, but there's so much for Hawthorn fans to look forward to for the future, except Jason, who always has a negative approach to it all. Little flyby there for you, Chief.